du hast recht, mir ist dieses Dekorelement, was ja Plastikholz ist, ganz spät aufgefallen.
Ja,
Ist das
ja.
die Idee, dass es spät auffällt, oder ist es, dass es runtergespielt ist, oder ist es eher...
Ja, ich
Was
habe
ist
auch nicht
das?
aufgepasst.
Doch, ich schon, aber ich habe... Also es hat mir... Da kommen Fahrräder auf
Ich
der
habe
linken
natürlich das
Seite.
gesehen, aber hast du den imaginären also Streifen gesehen
Ja.
auf den Schirm?
Ja, interessant.
So this car is the bad example, or this is the right example of how you should not electrify the car in general, because it's in fact a kind of electrified petrol car.
Yeah,
It's the adventure machine, for kind of.
yeah. It has a very good acceleration. It looks like a sports car. It has a bonnet, which it does not need at all because there is no motor underneath. So it's symbolic for a private racing car in a way. But
So
on the
in
other
historical
hand,
terms, it's fake news.
it's not even simulation. It's a crossover between the new and the old.
Yeah,
But the old looks new.
Yeah.
The design looks very advanced, very progressive.
So the real future would be delivery cars,
Yeah.
start and stop cars. There you need
yeah.
electricity
Yeah.
in the first place, but
Yeah.
you don't need electricity to go to the south of Spain. This is
Quite.
totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's extremely expensive. No normal citizen of Europe is able to buy this kind of cars.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and in that sense, it is a neoliberal car,
And
in that it thinks that by trickling down the good news of electrification, in the end, it will democratize.
Yeah.
That's a total illusion, I think.
You're right, and it borrows prestige, and it creates prestige. It borrows prestige of the old sports car and adventure car types and racing car types, and it creates prestige by crossing over to electricity and the good publicity electrification
It's
of
also
cars
a
has.
kind of cowardly car, because it says you don't have to rethink mobility in order to go into the electric future. You can go on like normal, only we will make sure that you will not drive in a fossil way, but in an electrified way. But in the rest, it's all the same.
I agree. It's a sort of timidity. Did you see the new design of Volkswagen, which they proposed, creating a car like this, but with a much much more low-powered engine. But this car has no bonnet, and it's all cab.
Yeah.
It's a one-cab design, and Volkswagen was crucified for showing this design because everybody said, well, this is not a car.
Indeed,
So this is a car, and this is emphatically a car.
It is screaming, I am a car, and don't say that I'm electric. You know?
Yeah. Or say that I'm electric, but it has no influence about electricity in the cars. So the old. Would you agree that the old paradigm of adventure car is still alive and kicking?
Well, no. First of all, the adventure machine, invented by the middle class in the end of the 19th century and beginning of the 20th, has been tamed in the interwar period. And when it went global, it even underwent a second process of taming and domestication. So I think that the real adventure machine is to be seen in the Fast and the Furious and Mad Max movies and gaming.
It's
over
the top. And it's
what
not
you could call carnivalesque type of mobility.
Yeah, but this carnivalism or ironic car culture, the overwhelming old type is crossed over, I think, with a family car. And you have at least from the 1910s onward, you have this kind of family car with more places normally as the classical 4 or 5 place car.
Yeah, but you don't see family cars in Transformers series or in Fast and Furious.
Or when you see them in Hot Wheels, for example, they are ironized.
Yeah.
These are they look like loose on wheels.
Yeah.
But the family cars are there, and I agree with your analysis that family cars are very important for extra-European cultures. Cars which have much more places, which have better accommodation for luggage, for example, because Europeans travel with not very much luggage. And in extra-European countries, you take, as they call it, everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
So you have to need more places. You have roof racks, Imperial, and sometimes you have extensions for the boot of the car to accommodate more luggage. So it's a type of long-range transport machine.
Yeah, but how do we as historians integrate that into our analysis?
I think we have to accept that this is a second strain, with crossovers to the first strain. Sometimes
I think you cannot describe and analyze present-day automobilism in a global way without taking into the comparison other modes, for instance.
Definitely.
You cannot write a car history anymore by focusing on the cars.
Yeah.
If you go to Vietnam nowadays, or China even, or what is it, Singapore, Indonesia,
Yeah.
you have to discuss and write about cars from the perspective of the rickshaw puller,
Yeah.
or the minibus passenger,
for me the most,
or the passenger.
Great.
The pedestrian.
Pedestrian. But for me the most iconic example for this strain is the 50cc motorcycle. It is not sporty, not at all. It's utilitarian. It's it's more often 2 or 3 place vehicle, not a single place vehicle as the 50cc's motorcycles are in Europe. It is a transport mode.
Yeah. And in that sense, it is not an adventure machine anymore.
Not at all. No.
But it is what I call a post-ironic machine, because it's so serious, so bloody serious, because the chance that you get killed on this motorized two-wheeler is very big.
Very high. Yeah.
Very high. So it's not ironic anymore,
no,
or because the adventure machine was a kind of middle-class, tongue-in-cheek adventure.
Yeah.
It was not really dangerous.
That
but from the moment that you are driving a dangerous contraption, it's not fun anymore.
No,
and it's not.
It's bloody serious.
And that's what I call post-ironic. You know.
Yeah. That's what strikes me. The fast family car, the 200 horsepower family car, has 8 or 10 airbags.
Yeah.
So you are driving. You can drive riskily by sort of risk management or risk continuity or whatever you would call that. But you are feathered. You're traveling in a feather bed, and your risk is very low compared to the risk of the other people on the road, which have no airbags, which have to
especially in the global south, because it is there still where pedestrians and cyclists are killed in greater numbers than car passengers, but in the West that's not the case anymore.
In a way, it is. In some mobility societies, you have a very unhomogenic transport. In Russia, for example, when I went to Moscow, for example, you have the old Ladas, which have no security cells, which have in several cases no safety belts at all.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and these mix with modern SUVs with lots of airbags with 3-ton weight, which saves you in a crash, of course.
Yeah.
And these inhomogeneous traffic constellations are not untypical.
Yeah. For me, the Eastern European and Russian parts are a bit of a black hole, because I think the scholarship is still underdeveloped there.
Okay.
They should do
But
a bit more
I was there.
emphasis on adventure and.
Yeah,
and
but for me the funny thing, I had been there for 3 times,
I
and,
know.
and I studied the bloody Moscow traffic
yeah, and you
from
wrote
the
about,
inside.
you wrote about tinkering
Yeah.
on cars there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the funny thing is that a Lada is probably the most far off car from the adventure car as you can imagine, but they are driven in a very adventurous way.
Sure. That's true.
So, and I
That's
think
true. For instance,
in mobility history, I think we have to we have to find a way between the structure and the function. The structure of the car may be a adventure car, but it can be driven very safely and very defensively. On the other hand, you can have a very down-to-earth car, or take my 50cc motorcycle and you can drive it extremely risk-orientated.
Yeah.
So this is the old differentiation between structure and function is still working also in mobility.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the cyborg element here, because the car invites you to drive in a risky way, in a certain.
Yeah. But even if it does not, you can do it.
Yeah.
And that is then a question of culture. So a young person, 18 years old, grown up in a very car-conscious society, gets his first car, low-powered Ford Fiesta or whatever, and he is prone to driving in a risky way.
But I think one of the weaknesses of the history of mobility up to now is that we have been analyzing automobilism from what I call the first shooter perspective, from gaming, the driver's seat.
Yeah. So
And
ego shooter.
Yeah, so the passenger has been underrepresented in the mobility history, and I think by refocusing our history on the passenger, you enable also a kind of crossover to other forms of passenger traffic, like tramways, planes, and trains, and so on. Which we have in a way, neglected, more or less, these other forms of transport.
I tried to describe it when I wrote about the interior of the car, about the sort of cross differentiation of the interior of the car. You have a Trennung, a hard split between the front and the rear, as we have here. Even if you want to change your AC settings in the rear, you have to refer to the driver, and he does it for you. And on the other hand, we have a longitudinal split. We have here a passenger who is closer to the driving experience because he has the windshield in front of him.
It's the shooting position, in old
and he or she can look to the driver proper, but we in the back have a limited view, and we are more relegated to being passengers, whereas the driver in the right seat is not. He is a co-driver. She is a co-driver.
But that's okay. But that's true. That's true. But there's something else.